Okay, so welcome. So this is about your signature program, which is really central to growing a good wisdom business. So a signature program is about really understanding your gifts and how to package them in a way that the people you're here to work with really want them. So it's a synergy between your, what we call your magic or your gifts or your message, and the synergy between your clients or your avatar or your ideal clients' hearts and desires and wants. And that a good signature program is bringing forth your deepest wisdom, you with what you people you're here to serve most want, because that's obviously when it's has the most charge to it. It's like you're passionate about it, you're inspired about it, you're experienced with it, and they really want it. That the problem you're solving or the pain you're helping them face or the dreams you're helping them manifest are what they most desire. So a signature program, as we're going to explore, isn't just about it's not just about designing a program, although that's what we'll be talking about. It's actually also a fundamental training in marketing. Yeah, that when you understand share them, you really get to understand marketing on a level. Like people who've done the signature program training with me say their whole way they communicated to their market changed. They understood the key messages that they're wanting to give. They understood their own brand, their own flavor, and how to share that more clearly than ever. So developing a signature program is integral part of building a really solid wisdom business. So before I go further into that, let me just new to this. First, about business. What is embodied business? Embodied business is a way of doing business that is about connecting to your own heart, your own body in the business creation process, much more fully than traditional business approaches, which are much more about get a vision, get a plan, get an action on that vision. Whereas the embodied business approach is you can have a plan or a vision, but it's about keeping the inner current of your own passion, your aliveness, always stronger than your external goals, so that you have a more joyful creative process through. You don't just work for a to-do list, but also because for a lot of the people I work with, which is probably a lot of you, what I call embodied people, the more future-led type of creating doesn't work properly for you. That there's a way, if it gets too about the future and about five-step plans and structure and system, part of your core life force starts to feel a bit constricted or massively constricted, and it impacts your ability to really love business. So the way I teach business is about really learning to awaken that current, what we call your state, first, and to have that be the living dragon that you get on the back of to then ride into the growing of a successful business. So that um, integral part of what we've got is a lot of really, cutting edge entrepreneurial wisdom. So stuff around how to package your products and all of those things around marketing, around how to scale your business, all of that. But it's linked to a really deep embodiment training I've been doing for 20 years. So you can really bring that state and that strategy together. Yeah, that's what embodied business is for me, is the little place in the middle where the circle of mastering your own state and that the mastering your own the right strategy comes together. If you get them right, that's what embodied business is the synergy between your state and the right strategy. So a signature program is an integral part of that, and it's integral in the sense that it really helps you understand what's your key gifts to the world and what does the market want. So one last thing before I go into that is I want to just share with you what I call the embodied business system. Um, and there's two parts to this. First, I'll just share the flow, which is the 4 stages. And I'll share why I'm sharing this, is because developing a signature program is a good wisdom business. To serve those of you who are in the wisdom industry, to bring forth your wisdom from inside you and get it out into the world in a way that makes an impact and income. That's what I do. And to do that, there's a bunch of stages to do that well. And I've taken all into a clear that you can learn to, grow your wisdom business. But and I want to share that system just briefly. We won't go into it fully. I'll be sharing it more over other sort of sessions, but it helps you really understand the power of a signature program. So do you want to put up the shape share scale one, Sue? So firstly, I just want to share, I'm just going to take about 5 minutes to share how I see that this industry, this what I call the embodiment industry, or even bigger, the wisdom industry. So you have a message you want to get to the world. Well, there's four key stages, that, like, skills basically, that you develop to be able to grow a business in this arena. The first, which is today, what we're doing here today, about shaping a product and shaping a business and a brand that is really resonant for you and really resonant for your people. So that's the first stage, is developing a really good, foundation for your business. Second is share, which is about how you communicate that what you've created at stage one to the world. So it's all about social media, about sales pages, about create videos, creating your content so it really hums with your magic and in a way that your audience loves. Third stage is about selling. Yeah, how you become skilled at selling in a way that's really authentic to you. And this is one of the things I'm passionate about working with embodied business owners, is a lot of them, you mention the word selling and they're like, I don't want to sell, because the deepest truth for a lot of heart embodied centered people is they don't, they're not called to sell. That the idea of commodifying themselves into a business and a package and selling it doesn't feel true for them. They just want to give forth of their gifts from their heart and live in the flow of life. And often the trainings that they've done will tell them, come on, you've got to commodify, you've got to package, you've got to, do that. And while some of that is true, there's also ways that we can do that are really authentic to our nature, rather than feel like we need to become a salesperson. So the third stage of selling is a lot about authentic sales, how to do sales in a way that's actually just you sharing your gifts, because in the end, sales is simply expressing your value and another person going, oh, I want that, and being able to do that cleanly and clearly. And then the fourth stage is scale, which is about how to do the other three better and better, so you can increase your impact and increase your income. Okay, you can take that down now, Sue. So basically everything I do is, when I'm training people, is in one of or all of those stages. And today we're looking at the signature program, which is very much in that first stage of getting your product right. I have heaps of people every month, and most of them come with some version of, I don't have enough customers, or I'm working too hard to get those customers. What do I do? And often they come with a sense of, they want to get straight into the marketing and straight into, okay, how do we find more people? What do we do with marketing strategy? And I reckon probably 75% of the time, it's like, actually, you've got to go back and get your product right first. Because if you get your product or your offer, or whatever you want to call it, I call it your signature program, if you get that right, then actually it makes marketing so much more easier, because you're passionate about it. You've packaged it up so that the people you love truly want it. So that's why I've developed a whole signature program training. It's a month-long training that you can learn to take your magic and package it up into something that is authentic to you and your people want. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through an overview of how to build your own signature program. Yeah, you're going to be working on it in the session, and it'll give you some really good juice to take it to market, to share it with more people. Okay, so first, what is a signature program? Well, it can be in whatever form inspires you in this wisdom industry. There's a whole lot of ways that you can present it. So it can be a one-on-one program where you take people through, in a one-on-one context. It can be a group context. It can be like a small course through to a large course. It can be online. It can be in person. It can be live. It can be evergreen, or any combination of them. So the delivery method is not set here. What we're looking at today is how to create whatever you share through the one-on-one, through the group, online or in person, in a way that has people really go, oh yes, that's what I want, and has you be able to communicate what you want in a way that people can really hear it. Because again, one of the big challenges of embodied business owners is they've got so many passions. They've often trained in quite a few modalities. They've got a really rich well of training. Because one of the things about embodied people traditionally is that they love to do the inner work. Yeah, I think of embodied business owners traditionally have a leaning towards the internal, so that the feeling world, the spiritual, the hidden. And so what's led them on that journey is a passion or a fascination or trauma or a collection of all of them in the internal world. And so that's led them to remove some of their attention from, external goals and those things, and come within and listen deep within and meet the beauty and the pain found inside them. And what that means is that they have incredible connection often to themselves, to their own heart, their own knowing, and also they have a capacity of others make that connection themselves. So that deep knowing is an incredibly valuable gift, but often it's in a wordless zone. Yeah, often a lot of what embodied business people have to share will never ever be packaged into words. And so it's like, well, then how do I package this into a one thing or whatever? It's like, I'm just going to be with the person and trust in the moment, and I'll pull on my different skills and something will come from that. Does that make sense? Just give us hands if that makes sense, if you can feel that that's something you do. You love to dance with people. Okay. Yep. Not everyone for that one. Okay. Yeah, you love to dance with people in the mystery, but defining what you do in a way can feel a bit like, but I don't just do that. I do this as well. Yeah. So what we learn to do here with packaging up a signature program is we learn to create something that's a real living expression of your gifts. And it's about going beyond your modality. So it's not just saying, hey, I'm a counselor, come and do sessions with me. It's about really understanding what's the real unique gift that you have as a counselor, and how you can communicate that so that the people who listen to your video or read your post or your website bio or your brochure or whatever it is, and they read about you and they go, oh, this is my person, because you've articulated so clearly what you're passionate about and them, that they will come towards you. So a signature program is understanding your audience really powerfully and then crafting something that is a synergy of your magic and their heart. Making sense so far? Just give us some hands if it's making sense. Yep. Oh, we're frozen. Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, can you hear me now? Yay. Okay, great. Someone tell me where did I cut out? Because I got to a point where I actually asked you all a question, and then you were all just being really still, and I'm like, they're not answering me. Then I realized that you were all frozen. So what did you hear last?
Synergizing your magic and your client's heart.
Okay, great. Okay, well, you didn't miss too much then. That's good. Okay, so that's what a signature program is that you love it and they love it. And a key part of developing a signature program is really getting to know your avatar, which is not what we're exploring today. But basically, the first thing I do before we start fleshing out a signature program with someone is we really get to know your avatar, which is something we've covered in another session. If you feel like you don't know your avatar, then explore that with us, because really knowing them is where the signature program comes from. Okay, take a breath. So, who feels like, just a show of hands, who feels like you've got incredible wisdom to share with the world? Just want to check you're in the right place. Yep, good. All the hands go up. Great. Okay. Who feels like sometimes translating that wisdom in a way that other people get how awesome it is can be challenging? Yeah, just to really have it so they get it. Great. Also, hands. shoot up. Good. Well, that's the where a signature program is it's designed to help you bridge that challenge. It comes from two friends of mine that ran a very big company for many years, Marcus and Eddie, um, to help people do this, to help people get their message to the world. And so the structure of the signature program is very simple. And it's an outline that helps you take all of this incredible wisdom and put it into a simple framework to deliver it. Now, the framework I'm going to teach you is a really great foundation, and I'll explain as why each point is part of the signature program. And what I suggest you do is you follow it quite clearly first to download your wisdom. But as you get to know the different key components, you'll find a way to create the language and the messaging of your program really unique to you. Yeah. One of the key sort of components of any good wisdom business is uniqueness. Yeah, is that it carries a vibration of, oh, that's unique to that person. That's, you know, something I haven't heard before, or it's spoken in a way I haven't heard, or it's, you know, a collection of information put together that really interests me. So the framework doesn't need to constrict you. It's a way of clarifying and simplifying what you do so that then you can communicate it really clearly and make it sexier. Because when I'm doing this work with people, in fact, I had a woman today and she's just written out her signature program, written out all the different content, all the things that in the way I'm about to teach you. And I said, oh, that feels like it's a 6-month program you've created there. And she said, what? This was my short version. I tried to squash it all in. And it's one of the things people are often doing when they're creating a signature program is they've got 5 or 10 or 20 years of wisdom and experience and learning, and they're trying to teach people all of that or a big chunk of that because they want to give them all value and show them all the things they learn. But often that makes the amount of information they're trying to share too much for people. And often the focus then is on too much content rather than on the person's journey. So part of what a signature program does is it really helps you understand what you're offering from the perspective of the one who's coming to receive from you, and often helps you break off a chunk of the great iceberg of wisdom. It's not a very good analogy, is it? The great cookie, that's better. The great cookie of wisdom that you carry, and rather than trying to give them the whole cookie straight away, it's about finding one chocolate chip from that and saying, here, have this. And they go, oh, yum. And you go, great, have another one. And so it's about learning to package or, crumble up your wisdom into a way that's really digestible and communicatable. Because, not everyone feels like a giant cookie. But I mean, cookie's not a very good analogy because everyone wants a cookie. But you know what I mean, like a giant cookie. But people have a chocolate chip. So I should have thought this analogy before I worked it through. But anyway, and it can be a vegan chocolate chip if it needs to be. So the power of understanding your signature program can't be underestimated because it really does. Yeah, dynamic dog wants the whole cookie. Yes, I totally used the wrong analogy there because everyone wants a whole cookie, but like a whole box of cookies. No, I'm not going to go any deeper with that analogy. You get my point. Yeah, but you can have the whole cookie, dog. I'm fully in support of you having the whole cookie. Okay, so crafting the signature program is part of the wisdom development process. Yeah, that often wisdom starts with a personal problem yourself or a personal interest, and that leads you to a modality, or it leads you to a therapist, or it leads you, oh my God, I'm struggling, I need something, and you find something that helps, that works for you. And so that's a sort of a wisdom accumulation process. And often those in the wisdom industry have been doing that for a long time and got an incredible, array of years, decades of different modalities and different experiences and different wisdom and paradigms that they're all trying to share in a way that's really useful to the people they want to serve. And so one of the processes of moving from being a student, which is someone who's learned from all these different teachers and learned different modalities and methodologies and understandings, to being a transmitter or a teacher or whatever you want to call it, is being able to digest that information until it's really clear and inside your language and can be communicated in a way that is unique to you and is a way that is alive for the person receiving it. So developing a signature program for some of you will be quite a simple, fast process because you've done that digestion work, and it's just about like taking the chocolate chip, putting it into a little package and taking it to the world. And for other people, the development of the signature program is a real maturation process of your own wisdom. And it can take longer because you are transmuting all of your experience into something really valuable for people. So that's why today is a chance to explore it. And some of you literally could land a whole program that you could sell by tomorrow out of what we're doing today. Others of you might really take some big steps forward in really understanding your work. Others of you might actually lay the foundations for a 12-month mastermind program here today. Others of you might create a 3-week little intro to your work out of what we're going to explore today. Okay, so all making sense so far? Yep, just give us hands. Great, great. Okay, so you can put up the signature program structure now. So I'm going to share with you guys that the very simple, again from my mates Marcus and Andy, structure of how we develop a signature program. Now it's made up of 3 things. Remembering you've learned your avatar, you know who your ideal client is. And for those of you who've done the drives part of our avatar work, we'll be using that to basically choosing one problem and one promise from the pleasure and the pain section to create a signature program. Okay, so problem, promise, pathway. These are the 3 things you'll hear me talk a lot about, and then package, which is the way that you're going to share this, although we won't be focusing on that as much today. So a problem is, who's heard when you've gone to business trainings and they say business is about solving problems. The fundamental world of the entrepreneurship path is to find a problem, find a solution. Who's heard that before? Yep, it's a very common business practice and understanding of business. And personally, it used to annoy me because I'm like, I'm not just here to solve problems. I'm here to raise the consciousness of humanity. I don't want to solve problems. But what I've discovered as I've journeyed more deeply into this is one of the greatest motivators on the planet is pain. As much as it's uncomfortable to admit, things that get us off our seat, to make changes is often when we hit rock bottom, when it just hurts too much, we can't handle the pain anymore, or we have a health scare, or, something kicks us into, oh my God, life's too precious and I've got to make a change. Or the impact of the pattern hurts too much. And so pain and our problems are actually an incredible source of motivation. So much of the ingenuity of the world is born from problem. It's whether that's an individual personal problem or whether that's a collective or a societal problem. These problems are like compost. They are a fuel for wisdom and growth. And so creating a signature program is about really understanding what's a key problem that I'm helping my ideal customers with. Now, this often gets some resistance when I'm teaching it to people because, like, well, I work with lots of different things. I help people with this and this and this, and I've got 10 clients and they're all different, and don't box me in with just working with one problem. Now, that's fine if you've already got a steady stream of clients and you don't want anything more and you're happy with the clients that are coming through the door, then you don't need to bother with this. But if A, you want more, or B, you want better quality clients who are more suited to who you are, or if you want to develop marketing materials really brings us in with less effort, then really understanding the psychology of problem is a really integral part of the signature program. So that means that your program begins with a problem that your avatar is going through. And the suggestion is just one. And what that does is it means if I'm going along and I hear about that someone talking about that problem and I go, I've got that problem, immediately I'm interested. Analogy I've given before is, let's say there's 100 massage therapists set up and massage therapist every day, and their sign just says massage therapy, come and see me, because they're, well, I'm a massage therapist, so I just say massage. And those 1,000 people are walking past, and let's say 100 of those people want a massage, then they will look at 100 stalls marked massage therapy, and they'll go and find one. Maybe they'll get recommended by a friend, and they'll choose one of those 100 stalls. But if you specialize in neck pain, for example, and your sign says massage therapist, specifically helping release deep tension in the neck, then of those 1,000 people who are walking through, the ones who have got a sore neck, which is a key problem for your people, yeah, because you've studied them, where pain accumulates, then those people out of the 100 will go, oh my God, this is my person. They're specifically trained to work with this sore neck that I've got. So while it might reduce the amount of people that come to you, it means that the ones who do, oh my God, you're my person. And that's a very specific, structural problem, but it's also about, knowing their heart. And so if someone's feeling really exhausted with life, lost its purpose, and communicate that, then they get a sense of intimacy, like, this person understands me. And then the door opens to communicate. You can probably take that down now, Sue. Thanks. You've got a sense of problem promise pathway. I might bring it up again later. So understanding the problem that you're here to work with people is about intimacy. So that when you have a dear friend, and you're sitting down on the couch, and the distractions of the world drop away, and they just start to share about their world, and they drop down from the surface things to share something they're struggling with or hurting with, and you're really able to hear them, and you're really able to say, I understand, and maybe even offer your own reflections on what they're going through in a way that has them understand themselves even more deeply, then they feel incredibly seen and trusting towards you, yeah, because you've met them in that uncomfortable place, and you've found connection. And we know how important that is in friendship, yeah. We know that level of intimacy is what makes good friends, yeah, that we can share our challenging times and they get us. Well, it's no different at all in business, yeah, in the wisdom industry specifically, is that your ability to know the pain of those you're here to serve with is vital to developing a relationship with them. Now, if you're just one-on-one with somebody, then you'll do that just through conversation, yeah, and probably most of you are good at doing that just through conversation. Yeah, they tell you about it, you hear them, you feel them, they feel heard. But when it comes to developing marketing material, yeah, to bring in more clients to your business, or to offer a course or whatever it is, often that intimacy gets lost. And if you're not really communicating about the problem clearly, then the people feel like, oh yeah, it's just a more general, they just do massage. Yeah. So that, whereas when you can communicate, hey, I work with people who are really suffering in this way, then it really helps someone go, oh, this is my person. It helps you understand what is the core problem solving in my work. Yeah. What has my life trained me to be able to teach? Yeah. So I'll give you an example now, because I'm getting a bit theoretical. So I'll talk for myself first. So in this work, in the Embodied Business Institute, there's a very specific pain. You'll hear me mention it many, many times to people if you hang out with this school length of time, is that you have a devotion to your business, but the way most of the business trainings you've done don't do it. There's a disconnect between your level of commitment versus the way you've been taught to do business. There's like, that's something that doesn't feel right. I don't want to have a big goal and focus all on that and have a 12-point plan. Something in that doesn't feel right. And so that pain of the commitment to serve, but the sense that the traditional business practices don't work, that pain, if you're my avatar, and there's always people who are sort of directly in that and people who are partly in that, but if you are in that place and I talk about that pain, as I see every day, people's faces light up. It's like, yes, I don't want to live just with a plan. I don't want to be more motivated and focused and disciplined from the mind. That doesn't work for me. Yeah. And then there's a sense of, well, there must be something wrong with me. But when I come along and say, you've got this problem, the solution isn't to just get a vision board, get disciplined, get your goal and get excited, get a plan, take action. There's actually a whole other way you can create. Then my avatar, the people who have that specific problem, will go, oh my God, I've never heard anyone talk about business success born from the current of passion before in that way. Yeah. So therefore, I've got a connection now. Does that make sense? Just give us hands if that makes sense. And finding your version of that. Yeah. What is the unique thing that helps, your people connect, with your wisdom is why the problem is so powerful, because it's this doorway to connection and intimacy. So the pain, the problem is the beginning point. Yeah. And if you've done the avatar drives list, then you can literally look along and look at what are all the different pains that my avatar is suffering, and then feel which one of them is the strongest for them, that I'm really skilled at helping them navigate. And so that problem becomes the beginning of your journey. So I'll get you to take a minute. In fact, we'll get in state first. So just stand up and just move the body around a bit. Just that was quite a bit of theory. We're going to be doing some more getting into it in a minute. And just move the body around. Relax the jaw. Just do whatever you do to come present, to feel yourself. Yeah, embodied business is really about awakening the current of your own passion and creating from there. So just do whatever you do, using breath, whatever else, to just come alive. And I want you to get a pen and paper if you haven't already, and get it in front of you, or a computer, or an iPad, or whatever devices that we have these days. Just get something on which you can record. And I just want you to feel your ideal client. Yeah, you can. I've spoken about this much more in length in the avatar session, but very simply, a way to think about your avatar, if you've got no idea, is either you a couple of years ago, yeah, so who you were before you've had this next round of awakenings and wisdom and growth, or if you think about a client that you'd love to work with, that they've gone, oh my God, I can't believe I found you, and you're like, oh my God, you're my perfect client, I can't believe I'm getting paid to work with you. Yeah, so one or both of them is a great way to get a sense of who your avatar is if you're not already. So I just want you to feel that avatar person. I just want you to write down a few problems that this person will talk about. Yeah, what are the things that they suffer with? Just write a few down. If you've already got that list from previous sessions, then you can actually just look through, speak to you as like, yes, this is where people are really suffering, that I'm built to help. So just take a minute to write down a few of those problems, and then see if you can find one that really speaks to you. And just keep writing if you're still going, but I'll just, how to know you've found the right one. And again, it's an evolving process, but it is that there's a sense of, oh yes, about that problem from your perspective. From them, it's like it's something that's very real for them. It's not some theoretical thing that maybe one day they would like to resolve. It's pressing. It's got some sense of, it's impacting their life on a daily basis, because they're much more likely to come and learn from you if it's in their face than if it's like, oh yeah, one day I need to get that sorted. Yeah. So I'll just give you another minute for that. Okay, and when you've got it, just chuck it in the chat box what the problem is. Yeah, and I'll just give you a little bit of coaching around whether it lands, because ideally you want it inside a language they would speak. I'm tired all the time. I'm exhausted. Yeah, and you can even write who your avatar is in there as well. So, super mums who are exhausted. Yeah. Um, single people who don't really lacking confidence to go out and meet people. Yeah, feeling shy, feeling insecure. Yeah, or another one could be in this case business coaches. So embodied entrepreneurs is my avatar, and then the problem is um, you know inconsistent business growth, and in brackets, and they don't want to do it the way their mentors have told them to do it. Okay, so Leanne, thank you. So women, post-family, oops, chats are going up and down. Here we go. Keeping silent of their truth potential, stuck in what's next or how. Great. So there's a whole collection of them, which you can often use in the creation of the material, but you would be looking at, okay, what's one of them? What do I feel like is the really key one of not being heard, keeping silent and closing their voice, and stuck in what's not next or how. So any of them could be, yeah, so not being heard by others could be a problem that you create that intimacy with. Um, Keeping silent, keeping the voice closed is another one. And then also feeling stuck about what's next. So there's three separate problems there. So in terms of what we're doing today, you would be choosing one of them, and we're building a signature program simply around one of them. Because a lot of people are trying to sell too much too quickly. And part of the art of developing a good signature program is that it's like, here's the problem, and people go, yes, that's the problem. Here's the promise, which I'll get to in a bit, and they're like, yes, I want that promise. And it's not like, here's, you've got these 20 problems, great, and here's, you want all of these things, because it doesn't land in the same way. Yeah. Now, something I haven't touched on, yeah, I'll touch on it a little bit now, that a signature program isn't the only program you offer. It's not that this is my one signature program. You can have several that take people on a journey. Yeah, so the first one is about resolving one problem for a client, and that might be a 3-week low cost thing, or potentially I'll go back a step before that. You could have a webinar, and I'll cover this in the embodied marketing class. This how to develop this sequence in a way that really works for you. But your first one might be the core problem is, one thing there, and a promise for that. And then there's a 3-week program, and then there's a 12-month, immersion. And each of them are signature programs designed to resolve a problem for people. Then they go, oh, that worked. I'll go to the next one. Oh yeah, that worked. I'll go to the next one. Yeah. So this festival, this training you're doing is part of my funnel to share my magic with you. And if some of you go, oh, I love this, then you'll come and find out about the mastermind that we do and go, let's go deeper. Yeah, it's not manipulation. It's simply provide a bit of value. They go, I like that. Provide some more. They go, I like it, and can go on, continue on a journey. And too many people are trying to offer the whole cookie straight away, whereas a signature program helps you offer, one chocolate chip and another chocolate chip, and so on. Lack of community, fear, lack of funds, too cold. Yep. So again, a bunch of them in there. Tired of struggling and feeling powerless. People with chronic health challenges who feel despair and disheartened. They're all coming in now. And disheartened with the current medical system or looking for hope. Great, really clear. People with complex trauma who feel misunderstood and disconnected from joy and creative potential. Yep, great. Great. So you can see we're starting to speak to that problem. Now, before we move on, do you get how intimate it is to be able to communicate about that problem? I just want to see if I've landed that principle, that in marketing, if you really can communicate someone's problem to them in a way they feel seen and heard, that creates connection, which is the rest of the program is built on that connection. Have you got that? Have you got how important that is? Yep. Yep. Okay, good. Heads nod. Great. Okay. Because again, like I said, when I first started doing this, I thought it was annoying. So I don't want to talk about problems, but now I understand it's intimacy, and it's foundational to a good business. Okay. So promise. So promise is at the other end. And what we're doing here is we're creating a pathway from where they are, the problem they're wrestling with, to the promise of what it is they're yearning for. And so a promise is what you can fulfill on, what you can help them fulfill on, help them achieve, help them receive through working with you. So this signature program that you're going to create is going to take them on a journey from that problem. So if I look at Craig's people with chronic health challenges who feel despair and disheartened with the current medical system. So that's the problem. So despair with the medical system, if it is shorten that. So they're feeling despairing with the current medical system. And then the promise, which is what he's already mentioned there, is potentially hope, yeah, or a new pathway, or something. Anyway, you'll tell us what it is for you, but it's really being able to clearly articulate what is that. And again, one of the problems here is people will often list off everything awesome, like your life will be transformed, everyone will want to have sex with you, you'll be confident, you'll have all the money in the world, and you list off all the things. And now that might be all the things you want to help them work with, but again, people won't buy that because they'll go, oh yeah, that's just too, it's too, I know in a 3-week program, I'm not going to have those 57,000 breakthroughs. Yeah. So being able to communicate it inside a chunk that they can go, oh, I can see that's possible. Yeah. I can really see that that's possible for me. That really, again, makes the program more grounded and more succinct. Yeah. So the promise is what it is that they're yearning for, and something that you're qualified to lead them towards. Yeah, and depending on the size of the signature program, if you're looking at creating, a 12-month program, then the promise would actually be a much bigger promise than if you were offering a webinar. Yeah, so you just again choose something that is that synergy between something you're passionate about and something they really want. So just take a few minutes now to write down just what it is that your people really are looking for. Yeah, what are their hopes and dreams? And again, if you've got the avatar drive sheet in front of you, you can just use that. Otherwise, just write down a few. What are the core, challenges? I mean, the core desires and dreams that live inside your people. Just write them down inside a language that they would speak. I really want to be free. I want to be wealthy. I want to be booked out. I want to be, whatever it is. Just write a bunch of them.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So something I've struggled with a lot around this idea of shaping or structuring a program. Like my own journey has been just very
Yes.
organic, because I didn't have someone who was me in 5 years to kind of
Yes.
be that person for me. So I kind of had to figure it out on my own while I was in the depths of my own stuff. And yeah, and I just sort of know, like when some people come to me and they have really, like, they might have this really sort of strong desire to create, which is what's driving the process, but I can just sense how, like, the deeper layers of trauma. And from my own journey, I know that that's a very slow and gentle work that takes time, a lot of like spaciousness. So a lot of programs, like when I see stuff online, it's very much like it's always using that language that's very like get results and like
breakthrough, live your best life. Yes.
Yeah, and
Your
it's
entire
so
trauma history before breakfast.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really hard for me to know, like, because like when I'm working one-on-one with people, often it's just sort of like sitting and feeling, and there's no sort of but I do feel like it's important to have a sense of like, a complete offering, but also knowing that this work can take 5 years or 10 years even to kind of
Totally. It's a really common question. It was a question I, yelled at my mentors for many years, is that it's an organic process, that I don't want to sell an outcome. I can't know where I'm going to get to. But here's how to do that. So just think now of a client that you've worked with that's had great results. Yeah, who's really growing through the work with you. Yeah. Can you imagine them here?
Yeah.
Great. So now I want you to imagine that I'm just going up to them and I'm going to say to them, wow, what did you get from working with Emily? What would they say?
Mm. Understanding, compassion,
Yeah.
yeah, wisdom, yeah, holding.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And if I was to say, what's alive in your body now from this work with Emily that you didn't have before?
A sense that that there's a way through
Yeah,
and I'm not alone. Yeah.
yeah, beautiful. So they're promises right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, a sense of not being alone, a sense of finding a way through, a sense of peace, a sense of, you know, yes, being held on the journey. Yeah,
Yeah.
faith, hope. It's really, I love the question because I think it is, this is why creating a signature program is so powerful, is because if you get this right, you can really back the marketing. Whereas if you haven't got this right, like you said, you don't feel confident to go out and say, come on, let's clear your deep trauma. You know, like sometimes you'll see these people advertising, clear your life trauma in a single session. And it's like, uh, you know, if they know anything about trauma, it's just, you know, and fair enough, there are times when people are ready for that power and shift, and people with amazing techniques and modalities. But so being able to create a signature program that you can fully own then allows you to move into the marketing phase without sort of going, I've got this program, yeah, because you've learned to go through this thinking until you've found, I offer peace. Yeah, I help people find ground. Yeah, that could be your promise, is ground. Yeah, to find new ground for yourself. Whatever words you find are true for you, but the point is that you can back them fully and really believe that you can offer them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I guess that because there's that, I also feel like I need to be clear that sometimes doing this work, things get worse before they get better. So
You don't, this really important part of marketing is you don't need to talk about that now. Yeah,
yeah,
that we're not talking about process. And again, this is something that when you're talking about promise, it's really important that has some room to breathe. Yeah, to be felt and expressed without cautioning it. Like, but you know that that's inspiration. That's hope. Yeah, that's there. It's not that you're denying that there isn't, you know, an internal journey, and you can talk about that in the pathways I'll get to in a second. But to be able to be good at what you do, you need to be able to claim the possibilities that your work offers. Yeah, if you can't do that, then people go, I can't quite trust that. If too quickly you said straight away, oh well, it could be harder, it could get worse, and it could be, I'm going to go, well, I'm not sure that I trust it. Whereas if you say, I help people find deeper peace and ground in themselves than they've ever found before, and they go, oh, that's what I want, and they feel that you've claimed that, and then you say, and the path to that is unique for every person, and it can be an arduous and painful journey, but you haven't diminished the possibility by communicating, like that you haven't diminished the promise with the practicalities. Yeah, does that make sense?
yes, yeah,
It's quite common in embodied business owners is that they struggle to speak for the value of what they do because it's often wordless, and often that idea of a single outcome focused, like you're going to have the best this of your life, or you're going to doesn't feel true, because organic wisdom isn't like that. Yeah, it's a felt sense, and it's not packaged up into a clear outcome like that. But you do need to find a way to speak of that. Otherwise, people go, well, why would I come and see this person who's saying, yes, it might get worse before it gets better? Yeah, you need to be able to speak of what's the possibility that you're working towards, because that's leadership.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of people, especially people who've been through real dark nights of the soul, who are really grounded in the messy ugliness of the path, who really struggle to speak for the value and the promise that they offer. But you can. Very simple. Yeah, especially if you're working with people in crisis. They don't need you to sell them you're going to achieve your dreams and, ride on a beach with Julio the handsome with your $1 million Ferrari by next week. Like, they just don't need that. But in fact, if you sold that, they just go, ah. But if you just spoke of peace, yeah, you just spoke of a deeper peace to be with yourself as you are. Yeah, that's a promise they can believe in, and it's a promise you can believe in, maybe. Yeah, you get that. So that's why I was saying before, this problem and promise is about really understanding your work more clearly, so then you can claim it and communicate it to people so they can quite clearly go, oh, I've got that problem. I want that promise. I'm interested. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of communication is too much. People are trying to say too much too quickly and it doesn't cut through. Whereas if you've done your work to get really clear on that, very quickly people can go, yes, I've got that problem, I've got that promise. And then they take another step with you. Yeah. And then as they take more steps, you can start to talk about this ain't going to be a pretty journey. And in fact, that they will like you saying that because they know that's the case. Yeah. But they also, you need to be able to claim the promise.
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you.
Great question. Okay, so do we feel like we've got some promises? Yep, feel free to chuck them in the chat. Sometimes, yeah, Craig's just done a message saying sometimes less is more, don't oversell it. It's totally true. Something interestingly with embodied business owners, when I started to shift from, I've been training people for 15, 20 years in becoming love in action. So awakening up their passion and bringing it into action. I've helped people transform their businesses and whatever, incredible things. But I didn't sell that particularly. I just sold the coming alive to their own passion and creating their life consciously. And then when I changed into business coaching, my first unconscious thoughts were, whoop, I better sell make your $10,000. So everyone else in my industry is doing is how to get your first 10K month, how to get your first million, and it was all that focused. And so I started doing a bit of that and tried it on and found out the people I had helped make $1 million and then I went, actually, that's actually not what my people are, that they want to increase their income, but they don't want someone who's going to make it all about income. They actually, it's about the process. It's about building their business from their heart and from their passion and growing organically and authentically as much as it is about numbers of clients and numbers of money. And so it was like, oh, I don't have to market like I do. Yes, I need to be able to deliver on that. Yeah, that as a business coach, if I can't help people get more money in, I'm not worth the wait. But as the driving point of sales, that's not the promise that my people are actually looking for. They're looking for holistic growth as opposed to just get the growth by lunchtime. So, and that was really relieving for me. So, oh, okay, because that's true for me. I actually don't care about money and goals. I care about the living current of love being awoken and lived and expressed fully in the world. And part of the process of that is becoming wealthier, is, communicating your gifts more clearly, making a bigger impact, all those things. But yeah, it allowed me to embrace what matters most to me and therefore attract the clients who really want to work in that way. Yeah. So that's why this process of problem promise pathway is a whole maturing of, oh, that's who I am. Oh, that's what they want. That's how we bring it together. And as I share this with people, I just hearing from someone the other day that did the signature program work with us, and the way they're able to now communicate with their communities about their work has radically changed. They're posting more, they're getting more engagement because they've simplified and gone, oh, this is what I share. Yeah, and it's cleaned the whole thing up quite powerfully. Yeah. Okay, so do you want to chuck a few more of the promises in there that you found in the chat? If you've got any questions, go for it. Okay, so I'll just get into the next bit then. So once you've got problem and promise, you've created a map, just like if you go to your GPS or those old things, remember there was these things called paper maps? In fact, the other day I was looking at a paper map and I was actually looking for the blue dot that showed me where I was. It's like I forgot that not all maps have that now. Anyway, so on a map, you need two really important things. Yeah, you need to know where you're going and where you are. And a map doesn't work until you've got those two things. Yeah, no point in just being really excited about where you want to go, and no point in just being really clear where you are. The whole point of a map is you've got those two reference points, and then you've got to work out how to get there. So the problem and promise are those 2 points on the map. Yeah, the problem is where I am now, what I'm not satisfied with that I want to change, and the promise is what I'm yearning for of what's possible. And that then creates a landscape between them, creates a territory between them. And then your job as a guide in this landscape is to show people what you've learned, what is your wisdom that's going to help them go from that problem to that promise. Yeah, what unique set of principles or ideas or thoughts have you learned that will help them get from problem to promise? So before Sue put up that the wheel that had shape, share, sell, scale. Yeah, that is a pathway. They are four for me. You know, my problem, like I said, is inconsistent results in a business because I don't like modern head-driven business approach. The promise is business growth, the embodied way. Yeah, um, and then the pathway is those four things, so that shape your product clearly, learn to share about it authentically, learn to sell it authentically, and learn to scale consistently. And so it's like I'm saying, if you want to get from inconsistent business growth to business growth the embodied way, then you learn these four things with me, and I'll help you get from there to there. Does that make sense? Just give us hands if that shows you. And that's me taking all my wisdom, my understanding of the industry, and putting out a model that helps people, you know, go, oh, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. You're right. You've got to shape something, then you've got to share it, then you've got to sell it, and then you've got to scale it. That seems true. And then obviously I have whole trainings in each of those stages in which we're in now. Part of that first stage is getting the signature program right. So then this is really juicy for me, because the pathway, I do a lot of work with people finding their pathways, and I love it because it's a real process of taking what you've learned in your life and putting it into a sexy little framework, yeah, that allows you to communicate what you do with people in a way that works. And so I'll just give you an example, Emily, from what you shared before about working with people who, you know, got some big trauma and it's a deep journey you go on. Then your four things could be, I don't know your work, of course, but just to give an example, it could be nervous system. Yeah, so mapping the nervous system, working with emotions, working with negative thought thinking, and recreating your purpose. And it could be like, I'm going to teach you those four things, and through learning those four things with me, you're going to be able to go from, you know, where you were to this sense of peace. That makes sense. So it's about uncovering what are the core pillars of wisdom that you've learned that will really help someone fulfill on that. And the problem gets the intimacy, the promise gets that, oh yes, I want that, and the pathway builds the trust. It's like, yes, I've got that problem. Yes, I want to go to that destination, and I trust you that what you're sharing about here with this pathway to get me there. So do I need to say anything more about that? No, I think you can probably do you want to just do some writing, or have you got any questions? Just hands up if you've got questions. No? Okay, great. So just take a few minutes to write. What are the key things? You don't need to put them in a framework yet. Just what are the key things that someone needs to learn from me to get from that problem to the promise? Yeah, what are the key elements of that? You know, mastering your body, yeah. So another one that I spoke about and I'll speak about later is your state, your strategy, and your support. Yeah. When I talk about the village later, you'll hear me talk about those three things. That's another pathway. And feel free to just chuck in your problem, promise, and pathway if you've got it. And also just any questions you have in the chat box. I'll open it up for questions a bit later, but if you have any questions in the chat box to help you land this key things, go for it. So Tess has written, know how to support your family during common illnesses naturally. So, oh, that was 7 minutes ago, but it just came through. That was weird. Yep. So yeah, so that's the promise there is sort of healthy, natural, healthy family, almost. Yeah, and then the pathway out of. And so it's quite fine to sort of empty out a bunch of different ideas and different things, and then it's quite a joyful process. To then go, okay, what? How do they come? What unites all the different elements that feels like a really clear, simple framework that will work for people? And sometimes you can put it into like a 1, 2, 3, 4 model, or it can simply be the pillars, or it can pie chart or a Venn diagram, or you can put them together in whatever way you want. I'm not talking about models today, but we do quite a bit in the body business trainings. We do a really look at visual models and how to create, your Venn diagrams or your pie charts or your things that are able to communicate this collection of wisdom you have very clearly and quickly, so that other people can get it and believe in you, your authority in this industry, whatever it is that you're doing. Great. So Tessa's saying there's a lot more onto it than what I just shared about healthy family. And this is one of the things is there's always a lot more to it. Yeah. So that when you're putting together this problem promise, you're not saying, I'm capturing everything here. It's really important you understand that you don't need to communicate all the different elements of what you do. You need to communicate enough for them to go, oh, yes, I've got that problem. Yes, I want that promise. Yes, I trust that pathway, and step in. And then you teach them the next layer and the next layer and the next layer of your wisdom. Whereas too often people are trying to tilt it all up front, and it actually, spreads people too thin. Find happiness and mental health through nature, animals, and craft, and build community. So again, that's a collection of promises that's incredibly rich. Like there's a whole life there: happiness and mental health through nature, animals, craft, and build community. Yeah, there's a whole richness there. And as a single promise, that's way too much, especially if it's a few-week program. Yeah. So you want to be able to go, okay, what's a promise within that? Yeah, to find a vision that you really like, or to find what is it if they get those things, to find purpose or reconnection. But you want to be able to take the bigger promise if you work with someone long term, or your promise for your life vision, and take that into something small that you can offer. Hey, I think I might share another story. So just keep writing if you want to, but I just want to share how this works and why it's so powerful. And this is one of my favorite stories to share because it was just amazing to watch her thrive through this process. So a woman came, she started working with me with the Warriors of Love program, and she was a massage therapist at the time. And as she began to work, we started to ask her these questions and say, well, what type of massage are you interested in? We started to flesh out this whole sense of what's your core work. and she had this fascination for the nervous system. And this was before it was cool. Now everyone's fascinated. But this was talking 12 years ago. She was really interested in how the nervous system works and how people can work with the nervous system. And so what we did was, in conversations, we helped her change her problem and promise. Before it was, hey, I do massage, you feel stressed, come and have a massage, you'll feel relaxed, was sort of how she was sharing about her massage. And her pathway was basically just massage. You know what massage is, don't you? Come and do it with me. So there wasn't much clarity to any of them, and certainly wasn't a lot of uniqueness. Um, and then as she went along the Warrior program, we helped her really find what was her, key thing. So her promise first, or the thing she was fascinated with, was the nervous system and how people can learn to work with their own nervous system. And so then she developed a whole program that was about really clearly helping people work with their nervous system. She'd still do massage, but she went from an hour to an hour and a half, or sometimes even 2 hour session. She went from doing single session to a package of 3, and she began to really train people in their nervous system. Now, as she did that, she got more and more interested in her work, because straight massage wasn't as interesting to her. The whole regulation of the nervous system was fascinating. So she got more inspired. Secondly, the clients who were coming were way more inspired, because they were valuing her work so much more highly now, because she wasn't just another massage therapist, she was this nervous system whisperer. They were getting better results because they had more time and more connection, and she was calling in people who were interested in their nervous system, rather than people who were just like, I've got a sore shoulder, fix it. So she had this greater synergy between her clients. And so then quite quickly, she'd come to Melbourne to do the trainings with us. She lived up north. She'd come to Melbourne. And when she was advertising massage, she was, getting 3 or 4 clients a time, and charging, can't remember the amounts, but not as much. And then after she did this and she rebranded herself as this signature program work, she just became booked out really quickly, because people were fascinated. They wanted to learn more. And then when she would share about what she'd do, people were like, oh my God, there's this person coming to Melbourne. So it really helps, people feel magnetized, the right people magnetized. And so she was booked out. She was charging a lot more for her work. She was loving it more. They were loving more. It was just win, win, win. So that's what developing a signature program does, is it creates that synergy that has everybody win more. It's great. Craig's writing what you started to write a book, and I feel what you're sharing today overlaps with your book design and structure perfectly, which is great. Yeah, this very much can be used to write a book. This structure totally does, and it can be used to write a PDF. Like free lead magnet for people. It's a really. And this is the thing that I think I understood, but I get a lot more, because I've now taught a whole bunch of people this signature program work over the years. Understand how you work and how you can communicate that in better, that becomes relevant to everything. Yeah, you're just chatting with someone at a bus stop and you're able to say, oh yeah, I help people with this problem get to this promise by doing this pathway. And it's like, oh my God, I just shared the whole signature program, but I've just become fluent in it. That makes sense. One more story, and then we'll get to some good questions around all of this. Chinese massage therapist, Chinese doctor, acupuncturist came to see me, and she wanted to leave. She'd had enough of it. She was sick of treating people who were sick. They'd get better, they'd go away, and then they'd just come back when they were sick again. She's constantly, and so she came to me to get out of the industry. She'd had enough of it, and she wanted maybe move into life coaching or something like that. And so she come to me to help her transition out of the industry. But quite quickly, it was like, oh, what do you want to do? I want to work with people around their wellness and their health. I'm bored of just working with sick people. So what I said to her was, don't quit yet. Let's create a new product within your existing client base and see if the people you want are actually there. And she's like, no, they're all they care about is, getting sick. And I was like, well, what have you been offering them? And she's like, oh yeah, well, I haven't actually been offering them another option. So let's find out if they're there. So we built a signature program that was something, can't remember the exact name, but it was like elemental wellness, about understanding wellness through the lens of Chinese medicine. And it was about, the promise was vital health. And the problem was apathy around their health. Yeah. So again, that problem that she'd come to me with around, oh, people only come to me when they're really sick. So she developed a wellness program that was about optimal health, becoming vitally healthy. Um, Promise was that they can be more, more vitally healthy than they've ever been in their life. Um, and the problem was apathetic around health. And then she developed some pillars which were about, one of them was about sort of physical wellness stuff, but there was also about emotions and about cycles and seasons and working with your whole life force and lifestyle. And so she put together a package for people around that. It was like a 3-month journey. It was a certain amount of sessions, way more than she would normally do when she was treating the sick people. And she didn't have to go out and sell it because she had 20 clients already in her practice. So all we did was we said, just pitch it to them, just share about them and see, do they have that apathy about their health that you're complaining about? Do they want to resolve that problem themselves? And she came back, like it was literally 2 weeks later, and said, I've got 4 people on the program already, and I'm so inspired. And within a couple of months, over half her clinic was people on that program. And now her conversation had changed from just health, oh, I'm sick, can I make it better, to she was talking about vitality and wellness, and she was helping people find new levels of health. And her whole practice, within a couple of months of getting the signature program really clear, her whole practice had transformed. She was earning more money because they were paying more. They were also coming more regularly, so they were paying more in that way. So she needed less new clients. But most importantly, she was loving it. Yeah, and they were loving it. And these were the same people she'd been complaining about, but she hadn't actually had something else to offer them for them to step into. So, a signature program is a very powerful way to create pathways with the people you love, and then go on really powerful journeys with them. That makes sense? Yeah, great. So anyone else want to chuck in just what your promise pathway is? So my problem is exhaustion, my promise is vitality and aliveness, and my pathway is nutrition, emotions and mindset, or whatever it is. Just if you want to just chuck them in really clear and simple, go for it. Now, once you've got these, yeah, what they do is you can then build any program you want around. Yeah, so you can build just an intro webinar around it. You can build a 3-week program. You can build a 12-month program. Yeah, one-on-one group, as I said. But this allows you to understand your work in a way that's communicated to others really easily. So in a minute, I'll turn off the recording and I'll have a good chance. The reason we've done 2 hours is I really want to have a chance to workshop some of these with you. But yeah, is there any questions you're happy to do on the recording first before we switch that off? No? Great. It's all landed very clearly. That's good. You've all got it crystal clear. Great. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about the village then before we switch off the recording. So the village is our mastermind program. It's our accelerator where people come in and they grow their businesses within a really clear training with us. It's an ongoing program, so you pay a monthly amount and you just stay in the program for as long as you want. Ideally, it's built to be there for, like, as a long-term support for you to grow your business. And there we go. There's our beautiful logo coming up. And it's doing it the embodied way. Yeah. So in fact, I'll talk about it now as a case study for what we've just been talking about. So the problem is, actually, I think I've shared that enough. So it's business, inconsistent business growth and pissed off with the old, or maybe it's not necessarily old school, but mental driven, future driven ways of doing business. The promise is business growth. And then the pathway is these 3 things, which so you can put up the next one now. I think you've got that. Yes, here it is. So these 3 fires, this is a really good way to understand the stuff I was just talking about. Because from working with, tens of thousands of people over years, I've discovered what are the things that really have someone in their life thrive, in this case, their business thrive. Because the reason it's called a village is that, that whole saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, this is about, it takes a village to raise a business. Yeah, so it takes an active, engaged community to have you accelerate your own business properly and powerfully. So these are the three things. Yeah, so this is my pathway. This is how I help you. But it's also good for you to watch so you can package up your own version of this to get to that promise of embodied business growth. So the first is your state. Yeah, moving from numbness to aliveness. How to consistently and regularly activate your state so that your business is being inspired by a living current of energy rather than just ideas and to-do lists and 5-step plans. Yeah, it's central to the way we work that not many other business trainings work. Is the first and the primary thing we do is get the state activated and elevated so that you can see new possibilities. Yes, if you're interested in that, come and check out the state, master your state to create, and this skill of creation, because we really teach you how to activate and cultivate that state as a foundation for business success, because we all know that the state of consciousness we're in shapes what we can see. And if our state is heavy and tired and lacking in possibility, then we'll project that onto our business. Vice versa, if our state is alive and connected, we'll see possibilities that just weren't there. So then second is strategy. Now this is, how do I grow my business this week? Yeah, what actions do I take? Where am I going with the business? And this is where I've spent the last 9 months doing an incredible amount of work to lay out a whole framework, which I might even show you in a second, just as an example of a more even intense system. But my passion, especially for embodied people, is helping them find what's the strategy this week that will help you grow your business. Yeah, where is the flow not happening? Is it about your product not right? Is it about your marketing not right? Have you not got the right team in place? And how to really quickly get clear on which is the next piece, the next brick in the wall of your temple business to put in place this week, and how to focus on just getting that. And then we've got heaps of training that helps you do that. And then support is this juicy, amazing part of what we do and why we ran Warriors of Love for years, and why we just had more and more people doing it until we had like 40 something people, in a year-long program, and they just didn't leave after a year. They stayed as well, because when we do things together, we all know that no matter how good sex is, it's better with another person. Dancing is so much better when you're with a lot of other people. Life is built to be shared, but so is business growth. Yeah, and so many wisdom businesses are doing it by themselves, individuated, trying to build their own business. But when we bring community together, we get inspiration, we get accountability, we get feedback, we get support when we fall over, we get cheering when we win, and it builds an incredible momentum towards business success that's often really hard, especially for embodied people doing it more by themselves. And then when you get the three of them together, yeah, so you're practicing your state, you've got a clear strategy, and you've got the support. That's why it's called an accelerator, is that it really does help you accelerate your business quite epically. So if you're interested in that, just drop the word village in the chat, and Sue will just reach out to you, and then we can just send you some info, have some questions, and then we can have a call. And we're just looking for people who are really the right fit for the program. So yeah, I'll just show you. Do you have the 12 one there, Sue? I'll just show you the whole embodied business system, because it's relevant to what you're learning now in terms of pathway. This is the really the complete pathway that I teach in the business model, and you'll see I've taken sort of one pathway, and now this is this is basically a year-long sort of masters in business training, what I'm about to show you in one single diagram. But it allows me to really show you how I help someone grow. So you'll see on the shape section there, we've got people, product, and pipeline, which is what we've been talking about today. So people is finding, your avatar, finding the right people to serve. Product is the signature program that we've been talking about. And then pipeline is about finding how you build a pathway between your product and the people. Where are they? How do you connect with them? And then on the internal level, we've got the states that we need to cultivate to grow these things. So, for example, just one example of many, is that if I'm working with someone to increase their marketing and their network, as we look at engage and build and network in the next stage, the key element on a state level there is our own expression, our own ability to express and communicate our gifts. Before we even write copy or before we even get out and spruik to the world, is the inner state of awakening our own voice and our own expression. So this model basically puts together everything you learn in the village over a year. It's basically all available for you, but the idea is that come in and I go, where's your business at? Okay, you've got a product, it's hot. You've got a pipeline, no, you haven't. Great, that's where we get you focused. We build a pipeline. If you've got a pipeline, great. Okay, now we need to go out and engage and work with the people. Okay, you've got that. Now we need to build some groups. So there's a whole training there that allows us to target very specifically what you need to grow your business this week, this month. Okay, we'll take that down now. I didn't think I was going to share that much with you, but it just feels relevant to help you understand like a bigger model. Okay, so that's it. We'll press pause now, and then we've got some really good time to just get some feedback, get some questions from you around your signature program.